You've seen the fairy tale image. It's all over social media. It's all your friends are talking about. And if you're still connected to this person, to this narcissist, it's all in your face. And that, my friends, is no mistake. And as I've said in another video, it's actually a trap. And you're not going to fall for it, are you? What's going on over there is exactly the same thing that went on in your relationship, except maybe it's a little bit more accelerated. And in this video, we're going to answer the question of whether the narcissist is actually treating that new supply better than they treated you, as it seems, and if they're actually happy in that relationship. And then at the end, as we usually do, I'm going to bring it back to you with some tips on how to reframe your thinking about this new relationship, the narcissist and the new supply, and how to stop getting caught up in what's going on over there. So if you're ready, stay tuned because we're about to jump in. Welcome to the Common Ego community. My name is Christina, and on this channel we talk about narcissistic abuse, its connection with spirituality, and we attempt to answer the question, where do we go from here? So if that all sounds good to you, be sure you're subscribed so you don't miss a thing. And if you're already subscribed, thank you and welcome back. So on to the question of the day. Does the narcissist treat the new supply better than they treated you? It may seem like it, and in some ways it may be true. You can pick out certain circumstances that you've witnessed with this new supply, and you could say, well, this didn't happen in my relationship. And so it may seem like the narcissist is treating that person better. But again, as I've mentioned in another video, it is most definitely a trap, and it's a trap that you're not going to fall into because you know better. You see, what's really going on with the narcissist and the new supply? Well, really the answer is in the question. It's a new supply. And while I don't like referring to people as supply, that's what it is to a narcissist. Because we've already seen, if you're here, you've experienced the abuse that can come from a narcissist, and you already know that narcissists are completely comfortable treating people as if they're pawns. And this new person is a pawn in their own game to keep their inflated sense of self afloat. And unfortunately, if you're here, there's a good chance that you were such a pawn at one time, as was I, as is the new supply. So to understand narcissists and their supply, you can think of them like parasites, like a flea on a dog. They're feeding off of your energy, and they're actually actively bringing you down while they're keeping themselves afloat. And for a while it may seem to them, in the idealization phase, it may seem to them like they're on top of the world and that they're actually elevated. But that's not really what's happening. What's happening is that they're just barely keeping their heads above water. That's essentially the state that you will find a narcissist in at any time, no matter how it seems. They're desperately seeking ways to keep that false persona alive. And that's what they do. That's what they use people for. And that's how they end up hurting people. And you can probably see it very clearly with the new supply. You can see how they're trying to use that new supply to hurt you. And for most of you, you probably see things that maybe they're doing with that new person that you used to do together, or that you wanted to do and you never got the chance to do with that person. What the narcissist is doing is they're presenting the life that you could have had with them. But you know that's not true. You know you would have never had that life with them. And furthermore, you know that that life is all a sham. It's a charade. Because think of it this way. If it is obvious to you that they're doing things to trigger you with this new relationship, as is common with narcissists, what they're doing is they're using another person as a pawn to hurt you. And you may have been that person earlier in your relationship. When you first met the narcissist, you may have been the pawn that they were using to hurt somebody else. And a lot of times you never even find that out. My point here is that it can become very clear that they're using this person to get to you. Depending on your situation, sometimes it's more clear than others. But if you're in one of those situations where it's very clear, where it's completely thrown in your face constantly. And it's things that are familiar to you because they're things that you either did or wanted to do with the narcissist. It should be very obvious at that point that they're using that person to get back at you, and also to get supply for themselves, because they are currently actively in the idealization stage with this new person, with the new supply. So to answer the question of whether they're treating that person better than you, it could be a yes. They could actually be treating that new person better than you to show you what you're missing out on, to show you that when you were in the relationship with a narcissist, if you had only acted better, you would have gotten this treatment. But again, please do not fall into that, because that is the trap. Therein lies the trap. They're trying to bait you. They're trying to make you feel this way. They're trying to get you, again, as they did throughout your entire relationship, to question yourself. Well, hey, if they're so happy now, maybe it was actually me. Maybe I'm the one who had the problem. If I had acted better, maybe if I had been a better supply, this wouldn't be happening right now. Maybe I would be getting that royal treatment. And if you're asking yourself those questions, if those thoughts are running through your mind, I want to ask you to just take a step back and try to look at things objectively. Try to look at what's going on in that relationship as if you had no part in it. As if the stuff that's going on, all in your face, had absolutely nothing to do with you. Pretend it's a friend from high school that you hadn't seen in years, but you kind of had a feel for what's going on in their life, right? You would probably be watching what's going on over there. All that hard and fast stuff. There's fast I love yous, there's fast engagements and marriages, and these people are proclaiming their love it's like they're screaming it from the mountaintops. But yet they barely know each other. Objectively, if you weren't so close to it, you would be looking at it like it's a train wreck, right? Because it kind of is. But when you're close to it, it's a little bit difficult to see it that way. You think, well, other people must be buying into this. Well, it could be real. There's a chance that it could be real. And you get your own emotions wrapped up into it. But when your own emotions are not wrapped up in it, it's nothing more than a train wreck. Even knowing what you know, especially knowing what you know, if you can look at it objectively, you can see what this person is actually doing, the game that they're playing. And if you can, even just for a moment, take your emotions out of it and look at what they're doing, it's insane. It's crazy. And you can be thankful that you're not a part of that anymore, because you know where this is going. You've been there before. And even if the narcissist does seem to be treating this new person better than you, we need to remember that narcissists treat people as pawns. That is it. Every person is a pawn for the narcissist's own personal gain and nothing more. Even if it's for revenge, that revenge feeds the narcissist's ego, and it is for the narcissist's own personal gain. So if we're asking a question like, is the narcissist happy with the new supply? The answer is no. They're not happy with themselves. We know this. These people are not happy people. They're not happy with themselves. So therefore they cannot have fulfilling relationships with anyone else. So again, I go back to this a lot, but it's really the piece that we need to focus on to understand what we're dealing with. And that's the lack of empathy. So the narcissist does not have functioning emotional empathy. So therefore they cannot have a true human connection, which is incredibly sad. But it's also what helps them use people like pawns. And it's what causes them to hurt people in order to get what they want. So if you're worried that the narcissist is somehow in this good place and seems so happy and seems to be treating the new supply better than he or she ever treated you, understand that there's something missing. And what's missing is empathy that leads to true human connection. This person, this narcissist, is deficient in that. They don't have it. And so therefore they cannot ever be happy. So if they are treating this person better than they treated you, it's for a reason. It's for their own personal gain. It's not that they suddenly became selfless and are driven by love. They're still driven by the same things that have driven them since you've known this person. And the drive with a narcissist is to get and maintain supply. And that's exactly what's going on here. Nothing more, nothing less. Okay, so now, as I like to do, I like to turn it back to the survivor so we can take something away from this experience. And if this is bothering you, if the narcissist and the new supply is still bothering you, if every time you see it, your heart kind of drops and you feel somehow like it's a slight on you, like somehow it makes you feel less than, what the narcissist is doing is working, and we don't want that to happen, right? So I want to talk about something that I like to call the emotional haze. And it's definitely like the trauma bond. And I'm going to talk more about it. I have a video coming up on the trauma bond, so stay tuned for that. But the emotional haze that I refer to is more of an energetic connection. You're emotionally and energetically connected to this person. So what's going on here is that this person has their own energetic field, as do you. But somewhere along the way, you let yours get wrapped up in theirs. So you got to the point where even if you didn't consciously realize it, you don't know where theirs ends and yours begins. They can stir up all kinds of drama and emotional ruckus, right? And you're right there in it. Your natural reaction is to just go with it. You kind of just sway with whatever emotions they're pulling from you in the moment. And unfortunately, it's a natural part of being in these relationships. You get to that point where you just are emotionally and energetically wrapped up in what's going on with this other person, even more than yourself. It's kind of like this. So we're all meant to play a starring role in our own lives. We're all meant to be the star in our own lives. We're meant to call the shots. We're meant to make the decisions. We're meant to control our own emotions. But when you get wrapped up in an emotionally abusive relationship, whether it's with a narcissist or another cluster B personality, somewhere along the line you lose that control. You lose your starring role and someone else takes over and they start pulling your emotional strings. And so whatever drama they have going on, you instantly feel like it's yours. Like you own that drama. There's no question. You don't even think about it. It's just they pull the strings and suddenly your emotions follow suit. It's almost like you don't have control over it. So instead of playing the starring role in your own life, it's like you're co-starring in their drama. And so when the narcissist comes around with a new supply, and if you're still feeling that emotional pull, if you're still in that emotional haze, you're not going to see the situation for what it is. You're so much more likely to see what the narcissist wants you to see, to feel what they want you to feel. And the best thing I can tell you about this is the magic that happens once you're out. Because once you're out, you can see everything for what it is. And you can see how ridiculous their behavior is. Like how utterly crazy their behavior is. And you can look at it objectively. And much like getting out of the emotional abuse of your relationship, which many of you have already done, you look back and think, how did this work? You know, like how did I get so wrapped up in that? The same thing is true with what's going on with the narcissist and the new supply. So if you're still feeling the energetic pull, if you're still feeling emotionally tied to this person, like they're still from afar pulling your strings, take a step back. Try to see things for what they are. If you have somebody close to you who knows what's going on, or maybe even somebody who doesn't know what's going on, describe the situation and ask their honest opinion. Does this sound normal to you? For the most part, people are going to be like, no, that does not sound normal. That does not sound like a normal relationship going on over there at all. That sounds like a train wreck. So if you can start to take this objective look and see that, get some confirmation, like, okay, this stuff isn't normal, and I don't have to. I don't have to be involved in it. My emotions don't have to be tied to that other person. You can start cutting those emotional cords and those energetic cords and consciously detach yourself from what's going on over there. That what is going on over there? It's crazy. But the most important takeaway is that it's not yours. It is not your crazy. You can walk away. And I know it's easier said than done when we're talking about emotions, because emotions tend to bubble up and they come naturally. But over time with practice, when you keep reminding yourself, this isn't mine. My life is over here and it's good. Just keep reminding yourself, this is someone else's crazy. And eventually it'll get easier and you'll start to see the crazy for the crazy that it really is. So to bring it back full circle, is the narcissist in your life treating the new supply better than they treated you? And the answer ultimately is probably not in reality, but even if they are, it's still a terrible, terrible situation that you don't want any part of. So it's time to cut those ties and finally break free from the emotional connection, from the energetic connection you have with this person. That's all I have to say for now on the topic. If you like this video, be sure to let me know by hitting that like button, and if you'd like to see more like it, make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell so you can be notified when I post new videos, and I'll see you next time.